Hi everybody.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Great.
My name is Kurubo. I'm your hostess, and today I'm joined by the lovely Willietta.
I paid her to say that.
No. She's amazing. We recently met. She
you.
has a YouTube channel as well
Right.
called The Realities of Christianity.
Right.
And we thought it'd be wonderful to collaborate because we're sisters, and this channel is about sisters and sisterhood.
Right.
So yeah. So today we're gonna talk about something awesome. Actually, do you wanna just introduce yourself real quick?
Right. As she rightly said, my name is Willietta. I am, the hostess of Realities of Christianity, which is a YouTube channel just dedicated about talking about the reality of being a Christian and how hard it is, but also knowing that if I could do it, you could do it too, and encouraging each other and building each other in our faith and walking with Christ and showing that it is possible. So it really gets me excited to meet other believers who are all about sisterhood. I mean, in a time that we live in, it's very hard to find strong women who are believers, but also as sweet as this girl is.
Oh my gosh, so she's such a wonderful speaker. So I saw some of her posts on Instagram and YouTube, and I was like, I gotta have this girl over here.
I'm glad she did.
And I actually kind of, approached her, and we spoke about topics we could talk about. And make sure you go to her channel after this and watch the other video that we've made. But for this channel, we're going to be talking about listening to God's voice, which I find incredibly hard to do in my own life. Maybe because I'm hard-headed or
Me too.
a doubter. I don't really know what it is really, but it's very difficult to discern God's voice. And just to give a short story, this past week at work, I needed to make a decision, but I needed to talk to my boss about it.
Right.
And I was quite anxious, should I talk to him about this now? Should I wait a little bit longer? So before the meeting, I went to the bathroom and I prayed to God. I was like, okay, God, I know people talk about praying to you, and I pray, but I've never believed in like, okay, I'm gonna hear his voice or something. So I was like, okay, God, people tell me they heard you tell them something, so I want to hear from you. So I went back to my desk and, I had a voice saying that, okay, maybe you should wait another 6 months. I was like, I don't know. That's just like doubt, like, let me just do this.
Saying
like,
it, right?
I thought it was me saying it or whatever, like me going back and forth in my mind because I'd been discussing this thing for a while in my mind. And I ended up not listening to that. And I went into the office to talk to my boss. And he was like, let's visit this in, another 6 months, which is exactly what the voice had told
Confirmation.
me. Yeah. Right. So have you had any examples where you listened to God or did not? And
oh, wow. Yeah. So when I was in high school, I got into a really prestigious high school, and it was supposed to connect me directly into the medical world. And this school was partnered up with Robert Wood Johnson. So as soon as you get in that school, you were fast track to med school. And my family, of course, were jubilating at it, and they thought, oh, this is so awesome. You don't have to strain for this. You can make the connections early and network. And I went into that school thinking, this definitely is God. God definitely opened this door, but I did not take time to really listen to the voice of God. And I struggled with that. And once I got into the school, I struggled immensely with everything, just the atmosphere of the place. It was just so much competition that was unnecessary, and I just felt very stifled. I didn't feel like I was growing. I didn't feel like I was making an impact. Everyone was just really sidetracked with what they were doing and how they were going to do it, and it was just not an environment that fosters God's presence. So it came to a point where I was failing a couple of courses, and I was like, God, how could you lead me to this place? And how could you abandon me when I thought you opened this door? And I heard the voice of God said, did you ask me before going there? And I said, ooh, I guess not. And I took time and I prayed, and, God told me to go to the regular high school. And for me, that looked like a demotion. Like, how did I go to this level and now I have to go to a regular place? And I had to face my parents and tell them this is the situation. And of course, they weren't, very happy about it because, so much time and effort has gone into this one school. And for me to say, oh, I'm stopping the process and I'm going to go somewhere else was a bit of a shock for them. So for me, it hurt my heart to tell them no, but at the same time, I had to listen to God's voice finally and say, okay, I'm going to do it. So long story short, I went to the high school, the normal high school, and I went there, and the moment that I walked in, the lady said, you have a presence about you, and don't lose that. And when she said that, I said, okay, God, that's you. All right, I'm going to do it. And when I tell you, from the moment that I spent there, the extra 2 years that I spent there, it was so incredible. I've made so many connections that helped me in where I am right now. And it has been a place that literally allowed me to minister to other people and share the gospel in such a profound way. So listen to God's voice and you would not have to make a mistake.
Okay, well, this channel is not like usually preaching channel, but Willietta's channel is, and we kind of wanted to base everything we talk about and do on the Bible, because as Christians, that's what we're called to do.
Absolutely.
So we wanted to like kind of talk about a situation in the Bible where people had to listen to God. You know, he appeared to people in dreams, which if I dreamt about something, I wouldn't know if it was God or just like me dreaming.
Right.
But I think a good example we can all learn from is like from Elijah. You know, a lot of us, if we went to Christian schools growing up or, you know, boarding schools growing up, we did a lot of Christian study and we read the Bible. And so we all know about, you know, the prophet Elijah and how, you know, he was sent into the desert to listen to God's word and God's voice. And he was trying to discern where God's voice was. Was it in the, like, the huge thunderstorms or like was it fire?
Yeah, it was fire too.
Fire or whatever. Those are a lot of
elements
that happen, but like none of those signs were God's voice. Instead, God's voice appeared to him in a still small
quiet
voice.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, and you mentioned that God doesn't appear in chaos when we're talking about
exactly.
this. Yeah.
God does not occur when there's a lot of voices. God is not going to compete with voices. You know, he's going to wait until you are ready to receive, because if I'm talking over you, I can't receive what you're saying to me. So God waits until our hearts are also aligned with our mindset. We're trying to hear from God, and our heart's in a place of we're hearing from God as well. So God only speaks to you when you're ready to listen.
Something to think about.
Right.
And so I guess that situation got me thinking of like, what ways moving forward can I be more discerning, you know, like of God's voice? And, you know, the Bible tells us that, what is that in Matthew, where like the kingdom, like seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and like all this, and it's so hard to do that. Like you're like, okay, I want all these other things,
exactly,
and I want God's kingdom too, but like he says, seek it first, and you get it's so hard to believe. But yeah, so we thought of some of the ways we can listen more to God's voice, and we spoke about like reading his word,
absolutely,
and seeing what does it say, and then whatever decision you make, it should be based in that. Is it right in God's eyes? Is it moral in God's eyes?
Right. And it doesn't compromise who you are too, because God made us all individuals. So if you are trying to be like me, for example, that doesn't work, because that's not who God created you to be. So make sure that you listen to God's voice, and make sure that it's not compromising to who you are as a person, and you're doing it for the right reason as well. I think it's very important.
You mentioned something about external validation whenever you were like thinking about what God is trying to say.
Right,
to you.
exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. You look for everybody else's approval. Sometimes when God speaks to you, you hear it and you say, oh, does this align with what everybody else is doing? And I think that is so bad. That is so bad. If you listen and if you are really, you know, inclined to God's voice and God says go, you might be the first one to do that. But God is going to use you to open other doors for other people to see that it is possible. So if you're like, oh, this is not aligned with the trend that's going on, or me being, you know, honest is not really what's going to get me the job. But God say, just do it and trust me and know that I have better plans for you. My ways are higher than yours. My thoughts are better than yours. Trust me.
Wow, that's wonderful. But you did say, though, that sometimes, you know, God will say something and you maybe doubt, but then you go and listen to a song.
Right, confirmation.
Mentor,
yeah.
You know, confirmation.
You know, the Bible says something that's really unique. It says, once have I spoken, but twice have you heard, meaning there has to be a secondary confirmation. Wow. So you might hear the voice of God and you not be sure if, you know, sometimes I have this struggle too, like you were saying, that you might think, oh, maybe it's me that, you know, that's saying it, but it's actually God when you hear it a second time from your boss. And unbelievers can actually play that role too, because it's aligned with what, and your spirit would jump as soon as you hear it, because you know God just said it. So the second time you hear, that's when you move.
How unbelievable is she? Well, we don't want this video to drag on forever, but if you'd be kind as to leave a comment below, like, and, you know, give us an instance where
subscribe.
Yes, make sure you subscribe, but, you know, share with us an instance where you listened or failed to listen to God's voice, and
the outcome.
And the outcome. Yeah, we'd be so interested to learn more about that.
Right.
All right, thank you so much. Be sure to go over to Willietta's channel. It's called The Realities of Christianity.
Right.
Like, subscribe, and check out the video that we made together. Thank you guys. We love you.